Okay, here we go. No fanciness here, just going to get the answers, no face even. So here we go. So in triangle, y is the right angle. You got the sine of x, and that's important, is 3/5. Find the sine, cosine, and tangent in fraction and decimal form, round to the nearest hundredth, if necessary. So our sine of x, so this is our theta. Down here means we know those two pieces, since we have to write the cosine and the tangent, and then the sine of z, we need to know the length of side xy, so we're going to use the Pythagorean theorem. So Pythagorean theorem would be 3 squared plus, we'll call it x, 3 squared plus x squared equals 5 squared. So x squared equals 16. So the length of that side is 4. So the cosine of x, is going to be adjacent over hypotenuse, so 4/5, which is 0.8. The cotangent of x, cotangent is adjacent over hypotenuse, so 4/3, which is 1.33. And then the sine of z, z is up here, opposite over adjacent, or opposite over hypotenuse, sorry, 4/5, which is 0.8 again. So there's the first one. Second one, all right, triangle again, essentially the same question. I have to use the Pythagorean theorem again to find the missing side. So 25 squared minus 15 squared is going to be x squared. That's 400. So 20. So the side is 20. So now it asks us for the secant of x. Secant is the opposite of the cosine, so hypotenuse over adjacent. So the secant of x is 25/20, which is 1.25. The tangent of x, opposite over adjacent, so 15/20, 0.75. And the cosine of z, z is up here, 15 adjacent over hypotenuse, which is 0.6. And we're done. Number 3. A garden space in a triangle with angle measures of 45, 45, 90. One leg of the triangle measures 15 feet. So I'm going to draw it. So we've got a 45, 45, 90. It says one of the legs is 15 feet. Well, I'm just going to fill out the triangle. If that's 15 feet, this is 15 feet. And for a 45, 45, 90, it's times the square root of 2. So 15 times the square root of 2. It says find the length of the longest side. So we did that. That's 15 square root of 2. It says find the exact value of sine and cosine of a 45-degree angle. So the exact value of the sine and the cosine. So if we do the sine of 45, it doesn't matter which one you pick. It's going to be 15/15 radical 2, which is just 1 over radical 2. So multiply by radical 2 over radical 2, which is radical 2 over 2. So that's the sine. Cosine is going to be the exact same thing. Cosine of 45, it's going to be the same exact thing because it's adjacent over hypotenuse, but adjacent is 15 as well. So that's just going to be radical 2. I ran out of space. All of a sudden it's not writing. Why aren't you writing? Because I hit the eraser. Radical 2 over 2. Part C to that says, show that the sine of 45 squared plus the cosine of 45 squared equals 1. Well, we said the sine of 45 was the square root of 2 over 2. So that squared plus the cosine of 45, which is the square root of 2 over 2, that squared. So if you look at that, the square root of, if we solve this part of it here, that's the square root of 2 squared, so that's 2. So this would become 2 over 2 squared is 4 plus 2 over 4, which is just 4 over 4, which is equal to 1. And there it is. And you're done. Number 4, the line of sight of a small boat, 35 feet. The cliff is 30 feet. Makes a 35-degree angle with the water to the nearest foot. How far is the boat from the cliff? So we have to find that one. So that's tangent. So we're going to go tangent of 35 is equal to 35 and 35 is 65 over x. So the number's on the top, so I'm going to go 65 divided by the tangent of 35. Break out a calculator. 65 divided by the tangent, 35, it's 93, 92.8, so 93, round to the nearest foot, yep. So 93 feet is your total for that one. Find the height. So here's our angle, so it's opposite and hypotenuse, so that's sine. So sine of 61 equals opposite over hypotenuse. So that's 95, since the number's on the bottom. 95 times the sine of 61 is going to be our x value. 83.1. Number 6. Opposite over hypotenuse again, so sine of 20 equals x over 10. Cross multiply, so 10 times the sine of 20.
Josh, timer, go ahead.
3.4. Hang on, got a phone call. All right, let's look at number 7. Number 7 says find the measure of the angle. They tell us that's 65. We know this is 90. 65 plus 90 in my mind is 155. Didn't even have to break the calculator out for that one. Number 8, sketch a 35-degree angle. Pretty fast. Oops, I probably went too far. Probably right in there somewhere. Negative 95. Somewhere right in there. Number 10, find a coterminal angle. Find a coterminal angle between 0 and 360. So I'm at negative 271. So change colors here. So if I go negative 271, coterminal means it has the same terminal side. So I'm going to rotate 360 degrees. So if I go 360 degrees, I get 89. So there's the answer for number 10. Number 11 says the reference angle, let's move this up here. The reference angle is 36 degrees and the terminal side lies in the second quadrant. What are the possible positive and negative measures of the angles? So you guys know I like to sketch things. So the reference angle is 36 degrees in the second quadrant, so that means it's right there. So this is 36. So I can find this one by going 180 minus 36, which is 144. That's the positive one. The negative one is going to be this one, so I can go negative 180 plus negative 36. So negative 180 plus negative 36 is negative 216. And there are your solutions. Find the radian measures for 110 degree angle. So going from degrees to radians, I should probably use the right number here. 110, so we're going to radians, so we're going to multiply by pi over 180. So that's 110 pi over 180. And then simplify. So our solution, 11 pi over 18. Not much room in here to write. Degrees to radians for number 13. I think that says negative pi over 6. With negative pi over 6, and this is going to be multiplied by 180 over pi. The pi's cancel. 180 divided by 6 is 30, so negative 30. If, in fact, that's a negative symbol. If it's not, it's just 30. All right, now we get to the fun ones. So the exact sign, exact value of the sign and all of these. So when we're doing these, decimals do not work. In fact, you got to show me your work. If you don't show me your work, half your credit's going to be showing your work, and if you give me a decimal, it's going to be wrong. So exact value means that exactly that exact value. So you need to draw these. So my drawings are going to be a little bit small, but is what it is. Okay, so that's 120 degrees, giving me a reference angle of 60 degrees. I draw my right angle. The hypotenuse is always 1. The side opposite the 30 is 1/2, and this is going to be negative 1/2 in this case. And then this side right here is the side opposite the 60 is the square root of 3 over 2. We are asked for the exact value of the sine of 60, and we're going up. Since we're going up, the exact value of the sine of 120 is the square root of 3 over 2, and this is positive. It's not negative. The answer sheet says this is negative, but this is not negative. The answer for this is the negative square root of 3 over 2. I'm sorry, positive square root of 3 over 2. I probably changed it. Might have said cosine originally, but anyway, it's positive. Cosine, the exact value of the cosine of 300. So 300 is right there. It gives me a 60-degree reference angle. So that's 1. That's 1/2. Now this is negative the square root of 3 over 2 because it goes down. Cosine is adjacent over hypotenuse. Adjacent is 1/2. The hypotenuse is 1. So our solution for this is just going to be 1/2. Number 16, we'll go over here with 16. Find the exact values of negative pi over 6 radian sine. So we're going to change it to degrees first. So I'm just going to go pi over 6, so 180 over pi. So this is negative 30, which I think is what we did before. So this is negative 30. So negative 30 is right there, making this a 30, 60, 90. So we've got 1. This is negative 1/2. This is the square root of 3 over 2. It wants the sine of this. The sine is opposite over hypotenuse. So the sine of negative is negative 1/2. And again, if you put 0.5, that's not the answer. It's negative 1/2. Yes, I know it's the same, but you've been told, and you need to show your work. Number 17, what is the value of that expression? Again, the value of the exact. Do not use your calculator. So 5 pi over 3. We need to change that to degrees so we know where to put it. So this is 300. Again, we're stuck on 60s here. So 30, so 1/2, negative square root of 3 over 2. So tangent is opposite over adjacent. So it'd be negative square root of 3 over 2 divided by 1/2. Dividing by 1/2 is the same thing as taking it times 2. 2's cancel out, leaving you with the negative square root of 3. Cosecant of 135. 135 is right there. Reference angle is 45. So our hypotenuse is 1. So this side is the negative square root of 2 over 2. This side is the square root of 2 over 2. Cosecant is hypotenuse over opposite. Hypotenuse is 1. The opposite is the square root of 2 over 2, so it'd be 1 divided by the square root of 2 over 2, which is the same thing as 1 times 2 over the square root of 2, which is 2 over the square root of 2, but we can't leave it like that, which then gives us 2 times the square root of 2 over 2, which is just the square root of 2. Secant, negative 270. Change to blue, because we're running out of room. Secant of negative 270. Okay, so that's going to be on that axis. So what happens with this? So if you think about this, secant is the opposite of cosine. So if we did the cosine of 270 and you put that in your calculator, if we do cosine 270 on your calculator, it's 0. So this is the opposite of that, so this is actually undefined. Okay. What is the sine theta? If cosine of theta is 5 over 13 and it's in quadrant 4. So we got to think about quadrant 4. So down here is quadrant 4. We got this angle, cosine is adjacent over hypotenuse. So Pythagorean theorem, if you use the Pythagorean theorem, you would find out that this is 12. And in fact, because it goes down, it's negative 12. So we've got negative 12. So we've got an answer of the sine then. It wants the sine, so the negative sine is equal to negative 12/13. Bell's about to ring, so I'm going to have to take a break here. I'll come back and finish this up. All right, question 21. So we got to find B. So we know the measure of an angle and its opposite side. The law of sine. So sine of 58 over 50 equals the sine of 48 over B. So cross multiply, so 50 times the sine of 48 divided by the sine of 58. That's going to give you your answer. So on 50 sine 48 divided by sine 58, 43.8 is what I got. Yep. 43.8. Question number 22. Find the measure of B given that A is that, B is that, and C is that. So here's A, here's B, here's C. We know that's 38 degrees. This is 74 degrees. That's B. This is 31. So law of sine again. So sine of 38 over 31 equals the sine of 74 over B. So 31 sine 74 divided by the sine of 38. 31 sine 74 divided by sine 38. 48.4. Number 23. On the baseball field, the pitcher's mound is 60.5 feet from home plate. During practice, a batter hits a ball 216 feet to deep right field. The path of the ball takes a 34-degree angle with the line connecting the pitcher to the right field pitcher's mound. An outfielder catches the ball and throws the ball to the pitcher. How far does he throw the ball? So we have to find that. So we've got side angle side. So this is law of cosine. So question mark squared is going to equal 60.5 squared plus 216 squared minus oops, sorry, minus 2 times 60.5 times 216 times the cosine of 34. So just punch it in how you see it. So 60.5 squared plus 216 squared minus 2 parentheses 60.5 216 cosine 34. So that's question mark squared equals 28,648-ish. Take the square root of that, and you get about 169.3 feet traveled. Number 24. A ship travels due west at 60 miles. It then travels northwest for 85 miles and ends up 119 miles from its original position. To the nearest degree, how many degrees north of west did it turn when it changed directions? So they want us to find this angle right here. It's not the one we usually find, but that's when it changed direction, so that's what we're going to find. So law of cosine, so 119 squared, because that's the side opposite, minus 85 squared minus 60 squared, all divided by negative 2 times 85 times 60. That's going to be my cosine of theta. So 119 squared minus 85 squared minus 60 squared. That's 3,336. Negative 2 times 85 times 60 is negative 10,200. Now we have to do the inverse cosine, so cosine negative 1 of that. And we end up with approximately 109.1 degrees. You found a different angle on that one. As long as you, yeah. I mean, if you read the directions on this question and you find that one instead, I'm going to be okay with that. If you found that one instead, they're going to be different angles, but I'd be okay with that. And the last one, just kind of like this one. Find angle T. So we're going to find that one to the nearest tenth of a degree. So we'll go 23 squared minus 18 squared minus 28 squared, all divided by negative 2 times 18 times 28. 23 squared minus 18 squared minus 28 squared minus 579 over negative 2 times 18 times 28, negative 1,008. Again, we have to find the inverse cosine of that. So second cosine, negative 579 divided by 1,008. And you get 54.9 degrees for that. So there are your solutions to those. Test is either on Thursday or Friday.